right, so I ran over here early this morning to tape the R8 thinking, man, I got to get this set up because I'm at a bit of a time crunch because I'm going to Pennsylvania later this week to Troy's place. But it took me, I don't know, 20 minutes, if that, to tape the car. So first mention, we're using 3M Precision tape. So this is the Japanese variant of 3M tape. I used a 1-inch, 2-inch size. I didn't need any of the 1/4-inch size for this, but the advantage of this tape is it doesn't leave a sticky residue. Neither does painter's tape or body shop tape, but this is thinner. It's just better for polishing. If you do run the polisher up against it, I found that there's just less chance of grabbing, residue from the tape and pulling it onto the paint. So let's take a look at the areas that I ended up taping. So I hit the honeycomb area. We're going to need to do a quick little finish polishing to the tail lights. Taped off the plastic trim here. I'm not worried about this honeycomb because it's got a gloss to it, so polish will wipe off of that, and I'll be careful to not fling it in the cracks. We'll be going over the little reflector as well. Nothing along the side needs to be done. The convertible top, which I'm sure for some areas of this we'll probably put the top down to polish up to the edge, so the top probably won't get in the way anyway. Obviously the edge of the mirror, the little V10 emblem is thin enough that I think I can work around it. Headlights, again, this trim here, this piece is pretty glossy, so I don't think I need to worry about that. The honeycomb, there's a big enough gap here that I won't hit any of that. I'm going to want to get the nano in between here. They're really not so great clear bra or clear paint protection film on this car. I tuck the headlight here. That's about it. And I taped the side blades because this isn't a glossy, it's a your typical plastic type finish, that porous finish. And then I tape the the gas cap, and then up top here I hit that honeycomb there. This plastic here I think is glossy enough that I won't damage it, and polish won't get in there. So that's about it. This car is going to be super easy to do. So I'm going to run to the gym, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to work on test spot. We have a lot of clear paint protection film on this car, so we have PPF here on the rear bumper. I don't know if you can see this here, but there's a scratch that'll probably come right out, even just by putting a little heat from the polisher, so that should come right out. All right, so we have PPF. We got PPF right around the gas cap here. I'm gonna try to talk him into pulling that off, but we'll probably leave it on. PPF down here, PPF here. There's no PPF on the doors other than the, I call it the grandma door opener. Not sure why you would want that there. You shouldn't be opening your door into stuff, but that's a grandma move. PPF on this, and then PPF here. No PPF, no PPF. We have the line. That's a dealership move right there. So we have the PPF line right here across the front. I don't know why you wouldn't just do the whole thing. And then we have the PPF on the front bumper. So this quite a bit more orange peel, but we'll be able to polish and treat this just like paint. So I'll be back in an hour or so, a couple hours, and we'll be doing the test spot. I'll have this thing polished today. So my guess is we'll see. It looks like my initial assessment. It'll probably be a quick one step, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do the windows and stuff too. So I think we can have this car done pretty quickly. All right, so getting set up to polish here after taping up the car. Real easy. I did realize there's lots of PPF on this car, so that should make it a little bit quicker in process to get this done. I think I'm probably going to be going yellow pad single step, but we're going to test this out. But we have the pneumatic 3-inch, which I absolutely love. I probably won't even get out the other 3-inch, the LHR 75E. This is the LHR 75. I still don't have the LTA, the gear-driven one, to test, but my guess is I'm going to like this one more. So we have the LHR 75. I've got my Nano with a 12mm orbit pad on here, or backing plate, and so 12mm DA and yellow pad, 1-inch pad. I probably won't get the 2-inch out. I didn't see a lot of scratching or bigger, heavier scratches, so I don't think I'm really going to need to spot treat this. So again, unfortunate for video, I'm probably not going to be doing a 2-step. And of course, my trusty LHR 15 Mark II. This, because I'm leaving for Pennsylvania in a few days, is all about efficiency. So I'm not going to be playing with all different types of machines. We're just going to go and get this sucker done. And I'm going to share with you the process, because the main thing I want to test on this is the Crystal Serum Light XO C2V3. So I'm going to test out all of that, see how it looks. All right, so let's see what we're working with here. So we've got some micro marring. Looks pretty typical of a new car, dealer induced love marks. I think almost every Audi dealership does hand washing, so clearly no machine washing marks here. But we're going to have some work to do with, hopefully a single step will pull these out, but nothing really drastic. This is normal wear and tear that you'd see in between details or on a new car. So just the little adjustment will clean it up. So we're going to try the perfect finish. Okay, so let's prime our pad here. Let's do, I'm going to work on this edge here. Where do I want my test spot to be? I think test spot, it's easier for me to see, so I'm going to work on this section with the 3-inch. We're going to prime our pad with some perfect finish. We'll do most of our priming on the fly here. So stick it here. Polish everywhere. I never do that. Too high a speed for a priming. It's all right. It'll make all you pros that like to make fun of us YouTube wannabes. It'll make you feel good about yourself as I'm flinging polish all over the place. Okay. So we probably already corrected it out, but let's just see what happens here. Let's do a little section. Try that 3 passes there. Let's see what we're working with. A little bit deeper scratch there. We might have to do our spot treating on. With hard paint like this, it's nice that you don't have to worry as much about the this wipe. Maybe I shouldn't speak so soon. Did I just make toweling marks? There's no way. Let me see. Let me try that again. I got to get my garbage can out. It's tricky dealing with this darn light because it makes it so much harder make it perfect, because this thing shows everything. Man, I feel like as soon as I wipe, let's see what that looks like. I made the full 4 passes. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get the darn Phoenix light out because that looks frickin' awesome. So even if there is a little bit of, there's still some left. Ay, ay, ay. That's the problem with this harder clear. I think we're gonna have to step it up here. All right, so 1, 2, prime the pad really well. Just blew it out. I'm gonna try this section. I have a feeling this clear is hard as a rock. I think we're gonna have to 2-step this sucker. Yeah, the Jetiscar finishes down so nicely, but it's such a faint difference, it's going to be really hard to show you on camera. But I think that this is what we're going to have to do. So let's see what it looks like when we 2-step it here. Perfect finish, comes off like butter on this paint. Yeah, we don't have a choice but to do that. Even then there's still a little bit, I mean I could sit there grinding away, but there's still a little left over. It's as hard as a rock, you know. Everybody's always talking about hard and soft, but I mean, I don't want to get M100 out and go crazy. But even just a little bit of marring that we showed in the video there earlier, it's pretty tricky. So just to recap what I'm doing here, I haven't talked you very well through it. So, you know, you want to start with a spot, right? I'm going to start with a spot, and I'm going to try the least aggressive that I think is going to work, right? And so I grabbed the yellow pad, the yellow foam pad, and perfect finish. Tried that. Looked like I'd gotten it all, and then I got the light and looked a little closer. Still had some straight line marks sort of left over. And so then next step was to, wipe it down with the eraser, grab some Jessica correcting compound, prime my microfiber pad, tested that, and I could probably actually end up, if I really wanted to make it exactly, if I wanted to get to 98%, I'm probably 95% now, is I'd probably want to go and run, either do 2 passes with the Jessica, 2 separate 4-section passes, or maybe grab something more aggressive. I don't think the result we're going to get, I'm going to check with Eric here in a second, but the result I think we're going to get is going to be acceptable. So I'm not going to chase that perfection on this, because I don't want to do 3 steps or have to really grind away. I wouldn't need to do 3, but I don't want to get the solvent-based heavier stuff out here. But this clear coat is very hard. The way you can tell is if you have little basic scratches and I'm using a compound, not a really aggressive compound, I'm using a compounded microfiber, and they're coming out 90-ish, 95-ish%. You can tell you have harder clear, whereas the WRX had quite a bit more marring scratches, very visible, very easy to see scratching. That came out with 2.5 passes and some very mild polish. So what I think we'll settle on here is doing a 2-step correction. So we'll do 4 passes with some decent pressure using the microfiber cutting pad, Jessica correcting compound. We'll make 4 passes, and I'm going to show you the Andy Ward method, where we're going to go get my Duetto out, and we're going to modify it a little bit. We're going to put a bigger pad on it, and we're going to probably finish the car down using perfect finish, doing a much quicker, just a quick jeweling up to pick up anything left over that the microfiber didn't clean up. So I'm going to bring Eric over here. We'll get him on camera, and we'll talk about what I think we should do, and we'll get his approval, and then we'll go through the process of, man, I love red, and oh boy, yeah, that looks darn good. I know this on camera already looks good, but now wait till we're done with this, with our coating, and then our last step, our finishing on our topping agent of C2V3. Or XO, then C2V3 on this thing is going to look insane. But yeah, that looks pretty legit. All right, so Eric's been kind of camping out on the side here and listen to what the heck I'm talking about. So let me show you a little bit. Let me lower the car down a little bit so we can see here. It was a little too high for me. Tell me that isn't cool to be able to do that instead of having to crouch down. All right, so I did this test section, right? So the philosophy here is, it doesn't do you any good to just go grinding away and polishing your car if you don't know if it's working, right? Okay. And so that's what I used to do back in the day. I'm like, well, I'm going to polish the car, so let me just polish it out. And then I didn't know what it meant to look at stuff. This was 10 years ago, right? But a better way to do this is to make sure, so let's start in a section, and usually wouldn't start in such a prominent section, because what happens if I screw something up? I know this isn't going to mess anything up. So just for camera purposes, I wanted to be, I just do this section because it the best lighting and everything in the garage. So when we started out, the paint, so come take a look at this over here. So see the swirling, the scratches. Can you see that stuff there? Yep. So now as we come over here, so notice how that's all gone, almost all of it.
Start right about here.
Right. So there's still a little bit, some of that is a streak from our wipe, but there's still some, there's a little bit of a little left over. So I would say we're at 95%, right? Versus, again, we go over here and you look at this panel, and you can see all the, all the stuff, right? And then we come over here and we see a pretty significant improvement. So a couple of things we can do, we could keep grinding, keep polishing. The disadvantage to doing that is that when we're polishing, we're moving paint, right? There's a certain amount of paint on this car. And so anytime, what I'm doing with this thing is I'm abrading the surface. I'm using an abrasive and I'm removing some of the clear coat in order to dig out some of those scratches. So those scratches came from toweling, drying, using a sham, whatever, washing, and they, what we're going to do we're going to put on the surface will hopefully harden it a little bit later on. But I don't know, to me, we could sit there, we could get a more aggressive compound, remove a little bit more paint. We could take this compound and continue to polish it more. But to me, I mean, if this is my car, I think that this is an acceptable minus, you can see my hand where I touched it there. That's not a scratch, but it's a little bit of oil from my fingers. But to me, this is more than acceptable. I mean, this looks amazing. But you can see, let's see, there was one. There's still a little bit of, you can still see a little bit. Some of that will fill with the coating. I mean, it's so fine. But what I'm finding is that is not that little bit of extra left to right, deeper scratches. We've gotten 90% of it out, but there's still a little bit left. Versus again, coming back over here, this is what we were dealing with before. So I think, from a safety and comfort level, what we're doing here with this two-step process, extremely safe. We're not going to damage anything. If we start to get more aggressive, I think we still could be just fine. I just feel like this is what, if it were me, this is the level that I would go to. Okay. If we get the more aggressive polish out and really start hammering away at it, we can probably get the rest of that little 5% that's left. We are removing some more paint by doing that for not a lot of payoff, would be my suggestion. So to put it into perspective, this car probably has, I don't have a depth gauge. Depth gauge aren't all that reliable anyway. We probably have 180 microns of paint here. What we just did removed 3 or 4, between these two steps, probably closer to 3. So we removed 3 of 180 microns to get to that. Now, you also have to remember, we're looking with the most unforgiving light on the planet. Here, you can't see squat. Even in this is great lighting, and we can't see any. I mean, that looks perfect. It's when we get this out and we start to really nitpick that you can see, I can still see some straight line. Obviously, that's not coming from the pad, right? If it was coming from the pad, you would see it in a circle. Yep. It wouldn't be perfectly straight. So that's left over from, guess what? A towel running across. So again, we could get more aggressive. We could start chasing it. But you wouldn't even see that in the sun, right? And then we certainly aren't going to see it when we have a thick layer of coating on top of the thing, and then a layer on top of that. So we're getting out the stuff you can see in the sun. Remember, we were looking at in the sun yesterday, you could see the stuff here. So we've gotten out all that stuff that you can see. We wouldn't call this perfect. I don't think we'll ever get to perfect. But I would think, my suggestion would be how far we would go. So we're removing, a small percentage of the clear coat that's on the car. Okay. Because of that 180, roughly half of it's clear coat. And so we have, in this case, we probably have 90 mils of clear. Okay. Or not mils, microns. 90 microns of clear, we're removing 3, maybe 4, the most. That's a very safe thing. That means you could do that a dozen times in the life of the car if you needed to do it again, which, hopefully we never will. But chances are, just from washing it and taking regular care of it. So what we're going to do is do the whole car that way. So what we'll do is you got to hit the gym, I got to go meet with my business coach, and so what we'll end up doing is I'm going to come back tonight and knock out most of the car. Maybe you can go back tomorrow or whatever you want to do.
I'll come back tonight and work with you.
Okay, and we'll start polishing. I'll get you behind a polisher and we'll start working on it.
That's what the videos are for, is for me to learn how to do this.
Right. So anyway, we'll see you in a few. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.